Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, Episode 3 is just hours away. We have a brand new trailer to break down, and we will be previewing what to expect in the next episode. But as always, before we start, if you're a fan of what you see on the channel, please consider subscribing. But yes, Episode 3 promises the first appearance of arguably the most anticipated location in the entire series, Numenor, the island kingdom of the greatest people of the race of men. So we'll do a quick recap from where we left the main storylines in episode 2, and we'll take a look at what episode 3 has to offer. First we'll start off with Galadriel and Halbrand, but they managed to work together and survive the storm, and have come across another ship. We can't tell who the figure is, but it has to be the captain of the ship, Elendil the Tall, future High King of the Dunedain, ancestor of Aragorn, wielder of the legendary sword, Narsil. But Elendil is not the king of Numenor. However, he is a chief advisor to the ruler of Numenor, who at the moment is Tar Palantir. However, the king is unable to lead due to his health, so his daughter Tarmiriel leads as Queen Regent, with her cousin Chancellor Pharazôn advising. But right now, Numenor is very divided. There are two main factions. The faithful are those who believe in the close ties with the elves and are loyal to the Valar, whereas the other faction, the King's Men, believe the opposite, and wish to delay or even prevent the gift of Iluvatar, in other words, death. So Galadriel and Halbrand arrive in Numenor during a time of turmoil. The Queen Regent doesn't have the authority nor the support of the majority of her people, and the arrival of Galadriel, no doubt, declaring they need to stand against Sauron, travel to the Southlands. It's not going to go down well with everyone in Numenor. Her mere presence will anger the King's Men, but she will have Tarmiriel's support. As we know, they do travel together to the Southlands, with an army later in the season. But that may leave Numenor open to Pharazôn and the King's Men. And as for Halbrand, he's a nobody, washed up on the shores where he doesn't belong. But there's so many theories that he may be the King of the Southlands, or even Sauron himself. And that is so dangerous, as one day Sauron will corrupt the people of Numenor and cause the downfall. And Gil-galad's warning that Galadriel may have kept alive the very same evil she wishes to destroy might come true. And it's obvious Numenor is the main attraction for episode 3. And I think we can all understand Elendil's smile at the end of the trailer. Elendil sees his homeland on the horizon. He might have been at sea for some time, but nothing beats the feeling of coming home. But now we look east to Middle-earth, and we'll start off with the Harfoots. Nori Brandyfoot is determined to aid the stranger, but it's difficult to communicate with him as he can't really just speak to her. He can't tell her who he is, what he's here for. But he has revealed several markings, some of which look very similar to markings we have seen before. And also the stranger has formed a constellation of stars using fireflies. He's trying to tell Nori that he has to find these stars. But Nori doesn't know the constellation, but she knows how she could probably find them out. Probably through Sadok Burrow's Book of Records. However, it seems like the stranger is no longer a secret to the Harfoots. It looks like other Harfoots know about his presence, and I don't think that's going to go down well with the elders. And the Harfoots are a nomadic people. It looks like they could be moving on. But probably Nori doesn't want to. I could totally see her staying behind. She has no idea who this entity is, but I think the stranger has to be a wizard. Whether that's Gandalf or one of the blue wizards. But I don't think we'll find out in this episode. We might not even find out in season 1. I wouldn't be surprised if Amazon leave this open, find out the fan reaction, and then reveal his identity in season 2, after we've had a bit of feedback. But yes, let's move on to Khazad-dûm. Durin IV has brought Elrond's proposal to his father, Durin III, who is unsure, doesn't trust the elves, especially after the dwarves have just discovered Mithril. Durin III is probably worried the elves might try to take Mithril from the dwarves. And I know there has been so many theories about Durin III, because two Durin shouldn't exist at the same time, because Durin is a reincarnation of the previous Durin, who in turn is the reincarnation of the father of the dwarfs, the first Durin. But I've seen theories that Durin III isn't actually real, but rather inside Durin IV's head. The previous Durin is the father, he advises the son, the next Durin. And I don't recall any other dwarf being in the presence of Durin III. I might be wrong on that one, but if that is true, that kind of backs up that theory, and this is all happening inside Durin IV's head. So I kind of like this theory, and I hope it actually happens. So that would be a neat storytelling device to get around the time compression and keep the dwarven religion true. But I'm not sure if we're going back to Khazad-dûm in this episode. I would like to, because it is my favourite part of the first two. But just like Game of Thrones, we have to get used to losing a character or two for a couple episodes, or more. And then in Eregion, Celebrimbor is awaiting Elrond's return from Khazad-dûm. As we were told in the previous episode, Celebrimbor's plan is to build a tower that houses the greatest forge in Middle-earth. But he has to build it by spring for some reason. So Elrond suggested the dwarves help as a workforce. And I've already got a video explaining what I think's happening, but why would an eternal, immortal elf worry about a deadline of spring, which is probably just a few months away? What does Celebrimbor and Gil-galad have in mind? And speaking of Gil-galad, I'm not sure if he's going to show up this episode, but his character needs a lot of work. I was not a fan of him sending Galadriel away to Valinor. And I think Lindon and Eregion will have a minor role this season, as most of the action takes place in Númenor or the Southlands. But it's pivotal for setting up Season 2 and the forging of the main plot, the Rings of Power. And finally we have the Southlands. Arondir was captured by the orcs in the tunnel, and in the new trailer we can see him fight both orcs and wargs, whilst being chained up. And I kinda like how the orcs have to hide in the darkness as they are harmed by sunlight, and they're using wargs to get around this. And they're also introducing Joseph Maul's character, Adar, the father of the orcs, who I believe is a fallen corrupted elf. And that adds a whole new dynamic to the Southland story, and it gives us a face of the enemy, until Sauron is ready to show himself. And then Bronwyn has convinced her people to get the hell out of the Southlands before more orcs come. But no doubt, Arondir's capture might cause her to stay back. And I've got no doubts that some villagers won't follow her, as they're not keen on her secret romance. And don't forget, the ancestors of the Southlands supported Morgoth, and I think many will be keen to side with Sauron, who will prey on their hatred for the elves. And Theo's son Bronwyn has reclaimed the broken blade, which bears the mark of Sauron, and his blood has been spilt on the blade, which partially reforges in fire and shadow. I think this is a Morgul blade, and Theo is now cursed, and the eyes of the enemy will be drawn towards him. So yes, this sounds like a very exciting episode, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. The action in the Southlands, with the mystery of the broken blade, is still in our minds, and Númenor is something we're all dying to see. And even though I'm not really invested in the Stranger storyline, I want to know who he is. But guys, make sure to post your thoughts and theories for episode 3 in the comments below. Tell me what storyline and character you're most excited for. For me, it's definitely Númenor and Elendil. But the stuff in the Southlands gets me more intrigued every single time, especially now Adar is into the mix. But yes, I will review the episode after it drops. As of recording, we've got about 7 hours to go. But in the meantime, I have plenty of other videos, including my theories on Sauron, and loads of stuff on House of the Dragon. Go and check out all that stuff before my next one. But yes guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.